Well, I didn't get to bring my message Facebook Live today. My two daughters have the flu, and we live out in the country, and we don't have the internet. So my digital data, it wasn't treating me very well. So you guys get a video instead, and hopefully you'll still be able to see it and comment and join in and tell me if you had a third grade teacher that you loved so much like I did. Today I'm talking about Miss Janice Russell. Miss Russell to me, anyway. Um, and I'm sure thousands of other students, because I think she is currently still teaching in Oklahoma. But I wanted to share a quote with you first. It says, "I will be a candle in the darkness. I will be the hand from heaven above. I will be a mirror that reflects your endless love. I will be the hope among the hopeless. Where there is conflict, I will be peace. Only by the power of your spirit living in me, I will be." And I wanted to share that with you. That was by Natalie Grant. It's actually a song that she sings. So if you haven't had an opportunity to hear Natalie Grant, go listen to her. She is incredible. I really want you to. She's pretty awesome. But I wanted to share with you that Miss Russell was a candle in the darkness for me. She was a hand of heaven. She was giving and nurturing and loving. She reflected endless love. She was a hope among myself, who was a hopeless at that time. She was peace in my conflict. No matter the day, I loved waking up and going to school because she was so incredible. And I believe she just had this spirit living in her that was so powerful. And I believe that that is God. But I wanted to share with you a little bit about her. So let me show you who she is first. This is the only class picture I ever was able to get. And I was very adamant about getting it because I loved her so much. I remember crying as I left the last day of school, like sobbing, because I thought I would never see her again. And I haven't seen her since, but I have had the opportunity to talk to her. So that's really good. I will see her one day again. But this is Miss Russell right here. And that's Miss Langford. Miss Langford was awesome as well. There I am right there. And that is Jared. He's pretty important too. I want you to see him. And but just so that you get to see Miss Russell, I wanted to hold that up for a second. Anyway, I made this scrapbook page. I do that with a lot of events in my life. I'm not really a big scrapbooker, but I have one big scrapbook that's just highlights of the things I'm grateful for. So if you have never had an opportunity to make a book of things that you're grateful for, I encourage you to do that, because then you can go back and share them with your kids and share why those times were really important. But I loved Miss Russell. Miss Russell taught me to love reading, and I didn't know this till way later in life, but I was actually diagnosed with severe dyslexia. And Miss Russell, she would read to us. And it was, I mean, I know a lot of you read to your children and things like that, but I didn't have a lot of that at home at all. And so it was the first like real exposure I had to a book coming alive. And the books that I remember her reading to us specifically were Hank the Cowdog books by John Erickson. And I actually got to meet him, which was really awesome. And I cried, which he didn't understand why I cried, but I cried because of Miss Russell, because she meant so much to me. And I just remember she would read these pages, and she would make accents as she was reading. And they had the coolest, each character had a different accent. And she just was incredible at making the book come to life. Now, back then we didn't have audiobooks, and now we do. And I really enjoy audiobooks. But one thing that I've realized that I have to do in my learning is I have to read the book with the audiobook. So it's a little more expensive for me. But it just allows me to see the words, get them, hear them, all that stuff. That's just my learning style. So, but she taught to my learning style. She taught me to appreciate and love and enjoy reading by hearing it, by making it come alive. And so that's one thing I love about Miss Russell. But there are several things I loved about Miss Russell. Now, as you'll look at me, I have brown hair, mousy brown hair. And I remember oftentimes my hair was tangly in school. And I also remember Miss Russell taking time to brush my hair. And I also wore clothes that were saturated with cigarette smoke. And it was kind of embarrassing because it made all the kids around me not want to sit next to me, but that wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault that I smelled so bad. I lived in an environment that was chaotic and oftentimes filthy and a struggle. So Miss Russell she had perfumes and lotions at school, and she allowed us to use it. And she would make me feel loved and like a little girl and important. I remember one of the things I told you to remember Jared in the picture. Jared was mute and he was severely autistic, and he also he was a tactile, I think what you would call a tactile, he had to have things in his hands or in his mouth, and he had to be playing with something. And Miss Russell would not make me, but she would give me the responsibility of sitting with Jared, even though he had Miss Langford there to help him. She would let me be a part of his learning, to where I felt like I had to be there every day, and I felt like he needed me to be there. And she gave me the opportunity to feel like somebody needed me and like I was responsible for somebody, and and I wanted to be there and I wanted to help Jared. I remember specifically he was sitting on the couch on the carpet next to me one day, and he was getting really anxious, and I went to his little cubby and I got his little toy, and I went and I sat next to him and I gave it to him, and I held his hand, and I love Jared. I don't know where Jared is now, but I love Jared, but I love that Miss Russell made me feel like she needed me there. I remember on Valentine's Day, the whole class got to make, and this is why I love the Valentine's parties that teachers throw, but we got to make boxes and everybody got to put their letters in it. And I remember, and now I know something about myself that I didn't know back then. I'm a words of affirmation person. So words mean a lot to me. And I remember, do not underestimate those Valentine's cards. I would open the cards and they were just kind words and sweetness. And she wrote a letter, and it was just love, all love. And you could tell that she genuinely loved her students, even though we were turkey sometimes. I remember at Christmas, and this is the struggle with poverty. I made a little music shaker out of a toilet paper roll. It's all I had. I got some tissue paper, I decorated it, I put some jewels on it, things that I had in my room at the time, or wherever I could get things from. And I made this shaker, and it was time to give our gifts at Christmas. And I remember this sweet friend, Lindsay, gave Miss Russell, she went before me to give Miss Russell this gift, and it was a jar of pasta, which doesn't really cost a ton, but it looked to me like it cost a lot of money. And I remember when Miss Russell opened that gift, she was so grateful. But I remember feeling like my gift wasn't enough. And I remember I ended up not giving her my gift. And I went home and cried because I felt like I didn't do anything for her.
was so embarrassed because I wanted her to feel loved and valued and appreciated, but I didn't have the money to go and buy her anything. And I loved her that much. I mean, I loved her like a mom, and I felt like I failed by not getting her a good gift, and I felt like my gift was just stupid, but I did the best I could, and I made that gift, and I'll never forget the hours that I put into making that silly music shaker because I loved music. And so I know now that it would have meant something to her, but back then I was just so embarrassed. So with that, I want to encourage all of you teachers to appreciate the simple things and let every kid know that nothing would nothing is of little importance, that everything is valuable to you, that they give you. And I love seeing stories of teachers getting gifts and things like that because it's just so sweet. I remember leaving Miss Russell's class, and I remember, she also had they honored me for Student of the Week. I don't know if that was like a normal thing, but I felt valued and loved, and that's why it's important to build that confidence in these kids. But I would I remember the last day of school. I remember walking out to my bus, and I just sobbed. I sobbed because I thought I would never see her again. Little did I know that technology would definitely allow us to keep up with each other. But I remember the heartache that I felt. So I want to encourage you that if you're a teacher, you're valuable. I want to encourage you to love your students. I want to encourage you to read to them, or encourage them to read, encourage literacy, encourage literacy, encourage literacy. I want to encourage you to give them responsibilities with the other children in the class. I want to encourage you that special needs is really important for them to see and to value and to love, because those students can teach the most powerful and incredible lessons of life. And I want to encourage you to be a light in the darkness, to be love, and to be hope. And that's what all my messages are about. It's just about encouraging you to be hope to somebody. So go and thank a teacher today, and hug your third graders, or hug every student. Hug all of them. They all need a big hug. I love seeing these videos of the teachers with the signs outside the doors, and they can pick if they want a hug or a high five or all those things. I just love it. So be awesome, and I love you all so much. And I'm sorry I didn't get to do this live, but please leave a comment.